Good morning. What a pleasure it is to be able to speak before this distinguished group of leaders. Let me begin my brief comments with an observation. Caltrain has a lot of riders, but what it needs is a true partner. Of course, the three agencies pay, and the state used to pay via the three agencies, but the fact is that no government or member of Congress really wants to be legally required to pay for a railroad. So, Caltrain lurches out of the funding station every year, right on time, at about the same time we start talking about the state's budget deficit. I was asked to keep my remarks short, so I will. Here it is. We need to get off our duffs. For too long, this public resource has been run with uncertain finances. We need to stop taking Caltrain for granted. First, if you have to cut service significantly, maybe some steps can be taken to prove to the public that the remaining service is going to get better. For example, and I don't even know if this is feasible under the federal law, but maybe no subsidy buses could depart hourly from San Francisco's 4th and King stations or San Jose Diridon bound for the peninsula during the midday, with limited stops to limit the pain of no midday service. This would give people a chance to get back home in an emergency, but no one would have to pay to subsidize the ride. Or perhaps you could add one more baby bullet train even if you have to cut service significantly. And perhaps you could use bus bridges to intermediate stations on a more frequent basis to fill in the station gaps that come with baby bullet service. Whatever choices are feasible, fixing Caltrain's finances may also mean improving what service remains after major cuts occur, at least in the short run. Second, we need to seriously consider folding the administrative and operational functions of Caltrain into another agency. Now, I'm not saying that we should do it. I want to emphasize that we need to figure out quickly what, if any, savings would arise if we did so. We need to think seriously about consolidation that makes sense. And we also need to tell the public if consolidation doesn't make sense. But one thing is certain. We cannot overlook consolidation as a powerful signal to businesses and the public that we are serious about the financial problems. Layoffs and pay freezes and the other sacrifices have already been made by transit agencies, and they have been painful. However, consolidation also needs to be examined. Third, there has to be a vision for funding Caltrain's operating expenses over the long haul, pun intended, and business has to be part of that solution. In the Portland region, businesses pay a payroll tax for purposes of funding Portland's mass transit. In other regions, property improvement districts defray a portion of the operating expenses of transit. There must also be controls on the finances of the system so that any tax is reasonably related to the value delivered to a business. I think that our robust business community along the Caltrain corridor is more than capable of looking at this train system, finding economies, finding further opportunities to enhance service, while also perhaps trimming it in some circumstances, and then pitching in financially on a consistent basis. Finally, I think a sales tax measure, approved by the voters, of course, should be considered. However, before anyone is going to vote to keep the trains going, I believe there will have to be significant organizational changes made to prove that Caltrain and probably other services in the partner agencies are being operated more economically. You know, we live in an era of consolidation, and until the public sees frugality in a big way, it won't open its wallets. But let's not lose heart. The public likes reliable service. Caltrain is reliable. Its funding is not. So the public will pay for something that is reliable. It needs to see changes and to be convinced that reliable service hinges on reliable funding. Passenger rail service in this corridor serves everyone, even those who don't take a train. We cannot afford to let it die. Nearly 40,000 people typically ride this train each and every day. To move that many people back onto our congested freeways would play havoc with our already choked freeway system. Now, if all this seems daunting, just remember this much. Hannibal used elephants to cross the Alps and went on to win battles against Rome. Up until Hannibal, no one had thought that crossing the Alps with elephants and winning battles could be done. So I look at it this way. All we have to do is to figure out how to fund Caltrain. By comparison to the challenge that faced Hannibal, that's easy. And there's no cleaning up after the elephants. Thank you for inviting me to make these comments via video. Together we can continue to make the trains run, and on time.